Hi, I'm Kirby Allison. I'm excited to be here in London at the World Championship of Shoe Polishing. I have with me here John Chung, the 2018 World Champion of Shoe Polishing. John, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You did
Thank
absolutely incredible work. This is your shoe right here. How was it being up here? I mean, you flew all the way in from Singapore for this event. It must be thrilling to have won.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I came all the way from Singapore and it wasn't cheap to be here. Yeah, so it took a lot of effort, and I'm just pleased that it turned out well. The polishing routine that I was practicing on, it went all right, and the colors on the shoe were all right. So I'm pretty glad.
Yeah.
And it's good to be able to meet the other shoe shiners or people who have been polishing shoes for a very, very long time, and I did indeed learn a lot from these people.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had the French, British, and then you from Singapore.
Yes, exactly.
And it was really interesting to see kind of the different techniques. How did you get started? I mean, what's your involvement and kind of that led you to shoe polishing? And just give us a little bit of a background kind of about you.
Yeah, sure. So in 2013, I started my shoe polishing company where we do shoe polishing and repair services. Back then it was just off the chair, a quick polish, 5 minutes, and the guy is out. And then a year later, we decided to move into Kevin Sia, where we had a flagship shoe shine bar.
This is in Singapore?
Yeah, in Singapore. And then thereafter, I started to practice, build on my shoe polishing techniques. And from then on, I've been polishing shoes for about 4 or 5 years right now. And learning new techniques, traveling to other places to make sure that I get some new information and see how the other people are doing shoe polishing in other parts of the world.
Is there a big difference on how people do it in different parts of the world?
Yeah, exactly. For example, you've seen Pete and Thomas polish their shoes very differently from the way I did. I've also learned from the Japanese people how they polish. Japanese people prefer to use their fingers, and a lot of them prefer to press in the waxes into the shoes before the actual polishing. Whereas the rest of the polishers, most of them are still using the cloth and wax on, wax off method. Yeah. So that's the main difference.
Yeah. Any of the, I feel like a proper mirror shine is like the ultimate pursuit of someone that loves shoes because it best flatters the shoe itself. We do a lot of educational videos on the Hanger Project. Any suggestions that you have for people who are trying to learn the mirror shine process that might be watching this that you might be able to offer?
I've been following Hanger Project since 2013. Wow. Since we started, and I've watched some of your videos as well. And I think maybe some of the people might be interested to find out more about how to remove the waxes rather than put on a fresh mirror shine, because you've got a shoe which is pretty much shined up. The moment they walk out, they got scarf and waxes, and they don't know how to deal with that. So a lot of my clients always ask me, hey man, how do you remove the entire coat of polishing on the shoes and then put on a fresh one?
And so how do you do that? What's your approach?
Well, for us, we use lotion, we use creams, we use some industrial cleaners, depending on the amount of wax that's on the leather. So we strip that down. Sometimes, in some instances, if we need to remove some color, we use a color stripper.
So you'd use something like the Saphir Renomat to pull it off, or would that be
Renomat? Renomat is quite strong. It's great for pulling off waxes on the shoe. We use some products from Boot Black as well. Boot Black leather lotion, and pretty much these are the two.
So you can actually use a cream to pull some of the top layers of polish off. And so if you're repairing a mirror shine, instead of completely stripping it with something like, say, the Renomat, you could use a cream, like a Saphir Pomander cream polish, to just kind of gently remove without totally removing all the waxes.
Yeah, correct. That's exactly true. I mean, sometimes I do use a neutral polish to remove the waxes on the surface. Another way that I learned from bespoke shoemakers is that you could probably use a small heat gun to soften the wax a little bit on the surface, and then after that push through the waxes. That's one way.
And that's to get it to really soak into the pores, right?
Exactly. How I performed the shoe shine was quite different. I decided to pile on the waxes on the shoe for 10 minutes before I actually used the cloth to polish. So that allowed me to build on more waxes on the shoe in a shorter time.
So you're putting the waxes onto the shoe and you're pushing it into the leather?
Yes, exactly. I pushed that for about 10 minutes, alternating between neutral waxes on the mirror gloss and on the dark brown normal waxes.
So you're using the mirror gloss,
mirror
and then
gloss,
the dark brown.
Mirror gloss one layer and dark brown one layer. So you can see that over here Thomas has got a darker toe as compared to mine, because I realized that if you continue to use dark brown polish for a certain period of time, it gets really dark, and I don't want the shoe to appear too dark, so I kind of try to alternate between neutral and dark brown.
That's interesting. So you'll push it into the leather, kind of building those layers, but you're not polishing with your chamois
Yes,
yet.
exactly. Yeah, just piling on the waxes first, and then for the next 10 minutes it was just pure polishing, and at the end,
What's the secret with the amount of water to use on your chamois?
that's the tricky part. You know, a lot of people always ask me what's the ratio between water and waxes, but for me it's more about your touch. Sometimes there's no way you can calculate or the amount of water. So,
but less is more. Generally.
Yeah, exactly. Less is more, and for me, just one drop for every swig of wax that you take out.
And what's the function of the water? What role does that play?
Well, I mean, when it comes to applying waxes on the shoe, the water helps to spread the wax across the surface. It helps to increase the friction between the cloth and the leather surface. And when there is friction, there is kinetic energy. So it generates a little bit of heat, and that is when the wax shiny surface comes on. Yeah.
So you were really moving very quickly,
Yes,
with your cloth, and I guess that's what's generating the heat
Yes,
to
exactly.
really bring those waxes to a high shine.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you're applying the wax, you're not polishing, and then you pull out your chamois, and at that point you're polishing really fast, a little bit of water with heat, and then you're just adding additional kind of small layers on
Yes,
top of that,
exactly.
right?
Just right towards the end, change my cloth, put on some wet waxes, and try to get a smooth finish across the surface.
Well, incredible work. I mean,
Thank you
absolutely
very much.
beautiful shine. I understand that you're actually walking away with a pair of these Loake shoes.
Thank you very
Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations, and
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, 2018 World Champion of Shoe Polishing, John Chung.
Thank you very much.